We're bringing you conversations from this conference, which has been organized by Mumbai First, talking about Mumbai as a mega city, the way forward, and perhaps taking some lessons from the European Union. So now we have Ambassador Cravinho with us. Thank you, sir, so much for taking out the time and talking to us.
It's a pleasure.
One would immediately wonder at the outset, what can Mumbai learn from a European city where things are far more organized, where the population density perhaps isn't so much, and the chaos is not as enormous as in Mumbai? What brings you here to partnering with this conference?
Well, there are enormous differences between Mumbai and anywhere else in the world. At the same time, there are some very interesting commonalities. And speaking with representatives of European cities, these come out very clearly. One of the commonalities, of course, is that dealing with the rapid change in a context of policy making always being much slower than the change on the ground and changing realities, this is common. The other aspect is that dealing with rapid change in an urban environment with certain density of population, with land being very scarce, with environmental challenges being pressing, these aspects are common. Dealing with populations that have high expectations and yet governance mechanisms that are sometimes at a loss to grapple with all of the circumstances. That is common. And so actually bringing city planners, city representatives, people who are involved in urban issues together from Europe to Mumbai, one finds in their conversation a good deal more in common than one would imagine from the immediate outlook of this enormous megacity and a different European experience. So there's actually a lot to be gained. Mm-hmm. Mutual learning, I would emphasize, not just one-directional learning.
Now, as we were just speaking earlier, I believe you spent more time in Delhi during your tenure here. Does it surprise you, the stark contrast between these two mega cities within the country?
They are very different, and they're very different historically. As we know, of course, Delhi has a tremendous history of being in the heartland of empires, various empires. But then it only became the capital in 1911, or was declared to be the capital in 1911, and took some couple of decades for the creation of the city of New Delhi. Mumbai is entirely different. Mumbai began as a port, and the city grew. First slowly and then very fast and very intensely around this tremendous port. And state of Maharashtra is responsible for some 40% of the wealth of India, and a large part of that is concentrated in this great city of Mumbai. So the experiences are completely different. I find Mumbai a fascinating city. The ambitions are enormous, and it has a very clear vision of what it would like to be. But of course, the process of going from A to B, from where we are today to the fulfillment of this vision for 2050 is something that would be taxing for the greatest of planners and the most organized of cities. And so I'm convinced that the nature of Mumbai's very legitimate ambitions can only find proper response with cooperation from around the world. And in Europe, I find a great deal of resonance, a great deal of interest when I speak to Europeans responsible for cities and say, what about Mumbai? What do you think of Mumbai? Do you think that you have something to say to Mumbai, and do you have something to learn? And immediately there's a very positive response. So this is why we have brought together many European city representatives, and what we expect to be launching of a platform. Not a one-off event, but the launching of a platform for a deep-seated alliance between Mumbai and European cities.
Right. Well, the infamous Indian red tape, perhaps it's most visible in a city like Mumbai, where projects do get delayed a lot, and there are multiple agencies, etc. What is the European experience? I mean, in your life, your public life, what have you seen? How does one come over a little bit of this problem of administration and governance?
Well, I think one of the realities that we are constantly facing is that we always need to improve our governance mechanisms. Governance is not a model that one can establish and say, that's it, we've arrived at the end station. It's not like that at all. It's a constant challenge because the world is rapidly changing all around us. And this means that we have to adapt our way of doing things. One of the things that's been very interesting speaking with representatives of the government of Maharashtra is extremely high degree of awareness of these problems. That is certainly the first requirement for change to happen. So discussing governance doesn't mean necessarily harmonizing the way that we do things between European cities and Mumbai, but it means learning from each other. And there, I think, there is much that we can do.
How would you like to see this partnership progress from here on? This, of course, this conference, these 2 days of exchange of ideas, first step. What is it that you'd like to see next?
The work is in progress, the conference is in progress. What we believe will happen next is that we will be able to establish in the different sectors, be it transport or solid waste management or so many of these different energy issues, an alliance with a specific number of European cities. So with, in one sector it may be cities from, imagine France, Germany and Spain. In another sector it may be Finland, Austria and who knows, Portugal, my own home country.
Okay, well, it sounds very exciting. Thank you so much for the initiative and thank you for your time as well right now.
Thank you.
Okay.